What's going on, guys? I'm Mr. Lazyboy, and today I'm coming at you with another amateur hour review. I'm so excited to finally be off my break. It ended a little earlier than I expected it to, but you guys wanted more videos, so I'm here to make more videos for you guys. Because the views have gone up substantially since I started my break. Like, that is crazy. It almost makes me wish I started uploading while I was on my break. But regardless, I am back. I'm back! I'm back! So let's get into this figure. So here we have Splinter right in front of us, and I'm gonna be honest right now, I spent maybe like 2-3 minutes trying to get this figure to stand up properly. Because his feet are like on these like little like hinges, which I like that in TMNT figures. I appreciate that they did that. But on Splinter it's really awkward because it makes him just kinda like fall over even with the cane, which I'll touch on that in a second. Now I did take off the glasses, but that's just because it's super hard to see his face with these things on. Oh my gosh, that's super out of focus. But yeah, so I took these off. They just slide into little peg holes in the back of his head, which is a little morbid, but it took, oh my god. And I'm gonna be upfront with you, this is probably my least favorite figure in the wave, not just because I'm not a big fan of the toy, but also it's just the least interesting compared to all the other toys in the wave. Like, I was actually considering just not buying him when I first saw this figure, but I decided to get it just because I didn't really want to leave a figure behind. I almost did leave Splinter behind because at Walmart, I bought all these toys that I've reviewed the day that they were available at Walmart. I've had these for a while, I've just been sitting on them because I'm kind of lazy. That's my fault. But this was the last Splinter that Walmart had. I could not find any other ones, and actually the card was kind of damaged. It was slightly bent from the back, and that really upset me. So this is the only figure I could find, so I'm sorry if any like little paint chippings is just not right. This is just the only copy of the figure I could find. It's starting off with the head sculpt of this figure. It's not even that bad, actually. It's nice little kind of gray, pinkish. It's not that bad. It doesn't really match what we got in the movie, like almost at all. But it's a nice head sculpt on its own, but at the same time, it's not what we saw in the movie. Splinter in the movie is very clearly a much older gray rat. He has little tufts of hair coming out the side of his head, which is where I would imagine like that'll plug into through here. That could have been a whole piece with this, like have the tufts of hair plug into these glasses as well as just them plugging into the back of his head. That could have been a neat little design choice. But instead we're stuck with Bald Rat Man. Now, he is gray in this figure, which is not accurate whatsoever to the final film. I don't know what happened during the design stations that made them make him gray, but that is just not accurate at all, so that's a big thing there. And also, he does come with a cane, which is a nice inclusion, though he doesn't use it in the film at all. He's never once mentioned having a cane. He doesn't have a cane at all, we don't see it. But it's just a nice little thing to be included with this, like all Master Splinters. Like, even the Rise of the TMNT Splinter had a cane. I mean, yeah, he didn't really use it that much in the show. He only used it in, like, one episode, but he still used it. Also, my copy of Splinter, he has a very, like, smudged up face that's just from paint bleeding. I don't know what happened to this figure during production. Also, it's a little dusty because it's just been sitting on my shelf for like months at this point, which he won't be for much longer once I start doing Rice Sundays. So stay tuned for that. Now, the upper torso of this figure is done in a maroon red, as you can see from this little like armpit thing here, that the majority of the body is red. Oh my god, I'm gonna knock down the weapons tree. The head is molded in brown. It's just that the torso is molded in maroon. Same with these little flaps here. These are little plug-in pieces that are glued in. But his, I don't know, diaper, I guess, is molded in gray. Same with the legs, except for these parts here. They're painted. But these are also molded in the same color as his head, which is nice. Now, this figure does have painted ears and a nose and fingertips. They're all painted pink. And I'm almost 100% sure this tail is painted pink because it looks like it's almost like chipping off. Like, it's a very ugly shade of pink, especially on camera. You can see little seam lines. I don't think this is actually, oh my god. I don't think this is actually pink. I feel like this might just be a piece of gray plastic that was painted pink. And for some reason, the arm joints on the inner arm are done in gray. That should have just been done in white plastic. Playmates is notoriously bad for matching that. I don't really know what I expected. And he also has a weird hole in his robe. I think that's funny. It's nice and tattered because it's all old. He's a really old rat in this movie. And of course, you got the purple belt, which is strange. You don't really see Splinter with purple too often. But it's a nice little change of pace. I like it. It's not really... It doesn't really match. I think it's mostly just because of how gray this figure is. This is a very ugly looking figure, mostly just because of how gray it is. It doesn't match up with how the movie is, and I might just do amateur customs on this figure, repainting it to look more like the movie. And moving back to the cane, it does have that hidden little knife piece like the original 1987 Splinter had. Same with the Rise of the TMNT Splinter, he also has a sword. Now, the feet on this figure are just absolutely horrendous. Like, this thing falls over way too easily. Like, it's just not even funny. It's not even a funny, oh my... It's not even a funny kind of like, haha, this figure's so bad. Like, no, this figure genuinely kind of sucks, honestly. And if it wasn't for the fact that he was so good in the movie, I would have just given this figure an F. I hate this figure. But because of how much I like Splinter in the movie, and how fairly close to the movie this figure is, I'm gonna give it a solid, I'm gonna give it a D. I'm gonna give it in D tier just because I feel bad. Just because I like the movie, this is going in D tier. I am sorry for those of you who like this figure. I just genuinely do not feel like it is good enough to warrant being any higher. I really was gonna put it in F. Also, there was a little bit of paint bleeding. This is just a bad toy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know, like, I'll most definitely be doing an amateur customs video on this. Whether you guys watch it, I don't know, because you guys didn't really like the last one. But hopefully this one will be better, because the last one was kind of stupid and really long, surprisingly. Actually, I feel like all custom videos will be long just because of how long it takes to do them. Like, that Mikey video took 3 days to make, but now I'm just rambling. Now here we have the weapons tree, which is actually a really nice weapons tree. I really do like this from the figure. You have these 3 little arrows that are actually kind of finicky and feel like they might break if I just move them slightly. And you got the bow and arrow that has no string. I don't know how you're supposed to play with this, honestly. Like, I don't get it. You got your 2 ninja stars that are the same as, I think, the Mikey weapons tree. And you have these crazy little, I guess, like, little chipped, and you have these crazy little, like, little chipped, cane pieces for Splinter. Let me take one out, actually. I use a little X-Acto knife to get these out, by the way. It's so much easier, and it leaves no little plastic bits hanging around. So here we have the little battle damage, I guess, or kind of like chipped and stuff, like little cane piece. It is unpainted, of course. It has a shorter handle too than the original one, which is just natural, of course. And of course, because of that, neither is unpainted. It has the texture like they wanted to paint it, but like, I mean, you could probably do it yourself with a little silver paint. I mean, I'll probably end up doing it, but it does not fit very well into this little cane piece. Like, it just falls right out if you do that. But with the normal one, it stays on well. Now, you do get 2 of these. I don't know why you get 2 of these, but you do. I guess it's just to fill up more space since they already have this sculpted. I don't know. Now, the scaling on this figure is a little odd. He's actually fairly tall. Like, he's almost as tall as Donatello, another glasses-themed character. Another glasses-wearing character in the movie. And he's not as tall as them. He should be at about, like, maybe his, up to where his plastron ends. Like, he should be, like, about that height to them compared. So another minus to this figure, even though Playmates has never been that well scaling for some reason. Especially on that Rise of the TMNT shredder. Don't even get me started on that. Even Rise of the TMNT Splinter is shorter than him, which I know in the cartoon Splinter is canonically like 3 feet tall, but it's still like, you know, like, this is how tall this figure should have been. Like, this height, even with the hair. Like, I'm talking this hair tall. Never mind lose the hair, but like, you get what I'm trying to say. Like, he needs to be a lot shorter, you know, at least up to the shoulders. I think is a good height for Splinter. And then Rice Splinter would probably be like that tall if he was actually like, I might just buy like that little micro Splinter figure to display with my TMNT figures, because this is like a really big fat rat. Like, I know they have to like scale it up more just so they can be able to charge $10, but like, this figure was like $8.95. You could have made like a multi-pack, like a Splinter and like Sheldon or something like that, just to have. But those are complaints you'll get from my Rice Sunday of Splinter whenever that comes out. But yeah, that pretty much concludes this amateur hour. This was not a good figure. I'm kind of upset with how negative I'm being in this one for this being my first time back. But I'm sorry, this is just not how I wanted to do this. Like, this is actually disappointing, because I thought this figure was okay until I actually started like taking a better look into it. Like, it's just sad. So with that, I'm gonna give this figure a D-. It's just a bad figure. Now, with that being said, I'm sorry if this is a bit of a downer. That's just not how I wanted it to go, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'll be back this Sunday with a much better, hopefully better figure for Rice Sunday. Peace out.
Bandana over our face, cut out some holes for the eyes. Beneath the streets of New York, in the sewers we hide. You try to see us, but you can't. Like my Murdoch's eyes, we're just some heroes in a half shell, fighting some crime. It goes red, blue, purple, and orange. You see them colors on the face, man, don't come toward us. Staying under your skin like a splinter, learn from Master Splinter.